Hi, and welcome to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 111. And the title of this episode is Nobody Can Tell You What the Economic Collapse Is. You have to see it yourself. And I just want to make one comment before I begin. The site was kind of messed up, and a couple people told me about it. And I went on to different browsers like Safari, Internet Explorer, Firefox, and I realized that something was wrong. And it looks like it turned out to be the caching. So the site was not hacked. It looks like something just got messed up, deleted everything, and recreated the cache. And it looks like the site is running okay now. And I just want to thank those people that emailed me and let me know, because on the browser I was using, it was fine. So I don't know if that was stuck in the browser that way, or I don't know what happened there. But it's fixed now, so everything seems to be working. Now let's get into the economic collapse news. And we're seeing that the market closed down today. Gold is up. And of course, if the market closes down, they blame it on earnings of different companies and the weather. They always blame everything on the weather, which is, Coke's revenue earnings are down. It's the weather. Yahoo, the earnings are down, so it's the revenue. It's always the weather, and that's what they always come up with, and that's what they always use when things aren't going right. So, but besides that, let's see what else is going on. Now, in Europe, car sales are not doing that well, and car sales double dip, and they're really moving along slowly compared to the U.S. automobile manufacturer. And I believe the automobile manufacturers in the U.S. are getting a little bit of help, and they're starting to use the same tactics they used way back, where they're giving you special deals on the loans, and this is how they got into trouble before, but they're showing that car sales are doing okay in America, and the European car manufacturer is not. And this went on to say the European car sales the last 2 months have been a bitter disappointment, as sales have collapsed once again, down 6.3%. And as we move on here, let's see. Goodbye full-time jobs, hello part-time jobs, rest in peace middle class. And really what is going on here, everything, all the full-time jobs, everyone was getting prepared for Obamacare. They were removing full-time people, making them part-time, cutting back on hours. People who are getting laid off in positions that were being removed, they were not being replaced by anyone, so those people had to go out and find part-time work, because it's very difficult to find full-time work. And many people are getting 1 to 2 jobs to make up for the one full-time job, and we're seeing this happen all over the place. And of course, Obamacare doesn't help, because Obamacare is basically a penalty on businesses and the people. I mean, if you really think about it, all businesses are getting prepared, because they thought in 2014 it was going to take effect, and all businesses are starting to get prepared for it, but the government has pushed it off until 2015, because they realized that this would really wreak havoc on the economy and the job situation. And I don't think they can change the calculation any more than they already have, unless they just, stop counting everybody and just say the unemployment rate is just good. I mean, it's just, what else can they do here? But Obamacare is definitely a penalty on the people, and I've gone over this before, and those people who don't take Obamacare, you will be taxed, so you're penalized for not taking it. This great, incredible healthcare system, so you will be penalized. Businesses, if they have full-time employees or part-time employees that are over a certain number of hours, and they do not give them the health insurance, they are also penalized. And again, I've said this before, if you are giving something to the people and it's good for the people, there is no reason for penalties. To me, this whole thing with Obamacare looks like it was designed to help the health insurance, to get rid of competition because now it's mandatory, so now they can set the rates to whatever they want, and to drive in income tax or taxes to help with the payment of the national debt and to raise revenue for the government. Otherwise, I don't see any other benefits for this thing. Now, there was a very interesting article that had to do with KKR suspends first day to 401k, replaces cash bonuses with stocks. And a long time ago, I worked for a bank, and they did this. They did the same type of thing, where people used to get bonuses. They took half of what so let's say your bonus was $10,000. They would take half of your bonus and give you company stock, and the other half you would get in cash. And this is going to spread to all companies, and this is how they're going to get away with paying people less, because no, we paid you, but we just paid you in stock of the company. And what happens is, and I know, and I read this article, and I didn't see any type of you know, details about how this works, because I know when I worked for a bank, to receive that stock, you had to work there for 5 years to get that stock. If you left on your own beforehand, you received nothing. So it is very different than receiving a cash bonus, because if you receive the 10,000 cash bonus, you get, minus taxes, you get the full $10,000. But for those people, they're only getting 5. Now their income's lower, which means less disposable income, because a lot of people might be counting on these bonuses, and now they are getting less, which means they have to cut back on certain things. And that stock, who knows what that's going to be worth in the end. And we can see this where this could be a template of where this could spread to other companies, which I think it will. Okay, let's move on here. Now, premiums high in China and India, and China gold deliveries double. And this goes on to say gold premiums in China remain high at nearly $30 per ounce, an indication of strong demand in the People's Republic of China, and premiums in India remain robust. Chinese gold demand remains insatiable, with record deliveries being seen on the Shanghai Gold Exchange. Physical gold delivered to buyers by China's largest bullion in the first half of this year almost matched the entire amount taken from its vaults in all of 2012. So we can see that people are rushing into physical gold. And in Vietnam, and it's funny, when I read this article and I thought about places like here in America, in the UK, in Australia, and it's probably all the same in the European nations also, where we were brought up and kind of brainwashed to think that paper money was the real deal. You hear the saying, cash is king, and we were brought up to think that having this piece of paper meant that you had actual money. But in other countries, it is very interesting the way they think. For example, in this article it said, it's been my habit for ages buying gold whenever I can save up some money, said Wang, who was 57. With gold, I can save my fortune and later on have something valuable to pass down to my children and grandchildren. So they believe that gold and precious metals, let's just say, are the real money and something of value. And then I started to think in 1920, 25, 28, whatever, during that time period when gold was $20 an ounce, if I gave each one of you $20 in your left hand and 1 ounce of gold in your right hand, and you save that until right now, which has real worth? Well, the $20, that has lost what, like 96% of its value, and the ounce of gold today is approaching 1,300. Which would you rather have? I know which one I would. Definitely the gold. So it's amazing how we were brought up to think gold is just something that you wear, or it's for earrings, it's for rings, it's for necklaces, and these pieces of paper are the real money. And what's going to happen, just like the people in Cyprus have seen and the people in Greece have seen, when banks go on a holiday or bail-ins happen, they can take or freeze your accounts of this paper money. And what do you have? You have nothing. And even if you had the paper money in your home or under your mattress, when hyperinflation hits and your dollar is worth nothing, just like they saw in Germany, then what? And if we go back in time, how many different paper currencies were there over, in time when, when we look at America and it was the colonies were here, they used something called script. Is script worth anything today? No, it's worth nothing. But if you had silver or gold, that is worth something. Now, talking about gold and precious metals, Brink's vaults are being depleted. This has the appearance of a bank run on the banks. And what we see here in this article, it says they have gone from 447,199 on July 3rd to 134,525 on July 9th, which is a drop of 674,000 ounces. And if this is correct, then this is a decline of 70% in the gold held in private accounts at Brink's in just 1 week. There is going to be a time when silver, gold, any of the precious metals is really going to be hard. You won't be able to get it. And this is when the run on physical will take place. And we're starting to see this, especially with the smackdown of gold and silver, and the central bankers, the bankers, huge investment houses, countries are starting to hoard all of these metals. And guess what's going to happen? I know the mainstream media is out there. They're telling everyone everything's okay, everything's fine, nothing's going to happen. And let me just tell you, back in 2008, if you followed the mainstream media and all these ridiculous people, and you kept your house and you bought at the height of the market and you kept investing in the stock market, you lost everything. And that's what's going to happen this time. Those people who are professionals, those people who know how to get out, those people who have an inside track know how to get out, just like those people who create the bubbles, which is the Fed doing it, and Goldman Sachs is in the inside track. J.P. Morgan is in the inside track. All these investment houses are in the inside track, and these people will make out. The rest of the people will not. They will lose everything, especially those people now who are looking to move into new homes because they think real estate prices are going to skyrocket and things are getting better, and they are going to be sadly disappointed when everything comes tumbling down. Now, there was a report that inflation came in just as expected at 8.2%. But of course, the inflation calculation has been changed, and if you don't include energy, you don't include food, uh, yes, then there is no inflation. But if you include food and you include energy, and inflation is on the rise. I went over this yesterday in the episode, the percentage of all of different products, and you can just see for yourself. I do have a page called Inflation Deflation, and that shows that prices are starting to rise again. And for some reason, I always see it rise in milk first fuel, and then I see milk, and then it spreads down to all other type of food products. And actually, like I said yesterday, I see it in wine right now, especially moving up. But just from fuel alone, I mean, think back to 1995 or 1999 when fuel was like around 99 cents or so, and now today it's approaching $4, some places $5. So you can definitely see the inflation. And if you go back with food, like a gallon of milk is around 3.85. If you go back in time, you were looking at milk at 99 cents. So there is definitely inflation. So basically, you need more of this paper money to buy the same exact products. Now, I know we discussed Obamacare and the job situation, but there was a survey that came out that said 74% of small businesses will fire workers and cut hours under Obamacare. And they are definitely getting prepared and getting ready for Obamacare, and this is why this is taking place. Even though the government and the president decided that they're going to just put that part of Obamacare off, which he is really not allowed to do under the Constitution. He's not allowed, after the bill has been passed and put into law. He can't just pick and choose which part of it he wants to enact and which parts he doesn't want to and delay. It's not up to him. But the survey goes on to say that 77% continue to think the U.S. economy is on the wrong track, and 83% support congressional efforts to reform the tax code, and 81% of small businesses surveyed believe the immigration system is completely broken, which I do believe the immigration system is completely broken, and especially what they're trying to do, where they're trying to pass the bill and allow all these immigrants get work, and they are not covered under the Obamacare, and this is complete. Even though it was voted down, I'm sure this will be brought up again and try to be passed. Okay, let's move on here. Now, Japan scrambles fighter jets to track Russian bombers, and what they're saying here. Japan's Air Self-Defense Force had to scramble fighter jets in response to flights by Russian military aircraft near Japanese airspace and over the disputed Kuril Islands on Monday, local media reported. And this is just more, propaganda, touchy, that they're trying to make it like things are getting out of hand, and they had to scramble the fighters because Russia came too close. And I mean, really, come on. Now, Japanese, they're moving to nationalize islands where China and Japan really have no claim on. And this goes on to say Japan may nationalize hundreds of unclaimed islands off its coast in a bid to bolster its territorial claims, in a move that could complicate already simmering relations with China over existing maritime disputes. And they're already fighting over an island, and like I said, they have to get this war started somehow. And by Japan going out saying that these are our islands now, this will just raise the tensions between the two countries even further, just like the tensions in Israel, Syria, China, Russia, and the U.S. and Iran and North Korea. All of this together will start World War III, and eventually this is how they will cover up the economic collapse. Okay, now DHS warns employees not to read leaked NSA information, and they're saying that the Department of Homeland Security has warned its employees that the government may penalize them for opening a Washington Post article containing a classified slide that shows how the National Security Agency eavesdrops on international communications. Now, they put out a memo, and this is out for the public. This is your First Amendment right. It's already been publicized, and we've seen the government try to censor the military with The Guardian, and now they're censoring the Department of Homeland Security, and they're all doing this because they don't want this to leak out and the Department of Homeland Security and the military to start asking questions. But again, they're going to see this anyway. You can't, when somebody goes home or you're on the internet, it is totally impossible to keep people away from looking. And especially when you tell someone not to look, their instinct is to look. But this just shows you a police state mentality telling people what to do, what to read, and they have every right to read whatever they want to read. Just like every person in America has the right to read everything. Now let's move on here. The Obama administration is drowning in lawsuits filed over the NSA surveillance, and they should be, because they violated the Fourth Amendment. This is completely illegal, against our rights, and there should be tons and thousands of lawsuits that the government should be is receiving. And this goes on to say, day by day, new lawsuits waged against the United States government are being filed in federal court, and with the same regularity, President Barack Obama and the preceding administration are being charged with vast constitutional violations alleged to have occurred through the NSA spy programs exposed by Mr. Snowden. And what is funny is I was talking to a couple people, and it's just funny how people amaze me when they're sitting there, and you see it all over the news where Snowden he's a traitor and all this stuff, and people really get on the bandwagon with this, and they're like, yeah, this guy Snowden, he is a traitor to the U.S. And I just had to stop people for a second. I said, let me just ask you a question. If you're in Company A and you are spying on Company B, and you know about the person in Company A spying on Company B, and you know the company is doing this, and they're stealing their patents, they're stealing, and they know when to trade and when to sell stock because of all this insider information, and you know about this, and you tell on this person, are you a traitor? Are you a criminal? Or is it the company that is doing it? And it's funny how people stop and think. And I said, let me even make it simpler. I said, if you're standing on a street corner and you see, let's say, a woman with a pocketbook just standing there, and a person runs up and steals the pocketbook, and you tell and describe the person that stole the pocketbook, are you a traitor to the country or to the city you live in? Or is the person who is stealing and breaking the law the problem? And this is the same thing with Snowden. The NSA, the United States government, violated every single American's Fourth Amendment right. That's it. They are the traitors. Think about this for a second. They are the ones who are traitors, who these people also took an oath of office and swore to defend and support the Constitution, and here they are spying, retrieving information without warrants, and violating the Fourth Amendment. All of these people should be brought up on charges. Just like if we had a company spying on another company with insider trading, with stealing patents, guess what? They would be brought up on charges It's the same thing. Now, the Chicago police are starting to use facial recognition software to arrest suspects. And again, this is against your Fourth Amendment right, and they are using this and to track each individual. And you can see how this can get out of hand, where they can now put your face and a name of where you've been, who you met, who the people you met with all day long, what restaurant you went into, who was in that restaurant. Oh, this person went in there. I was wondering if they met with this person and this person has criminal activities. Or this is a complete surveillance state at this point. And this is against your constitutional right. You should not be able to be followed. These records should not be able to be kept. And this is system, which I believe they want to spread, which is spreading across America, is to keep tabs on each person. And not just to keep tabs with cameras, but to understand who each person is, who each person is meeting with. And this is a very serious situation. Okay, let's move on here now. Now, there was a very interesting article that said, "Forget PRISM, Fairview is the NSA project to own the Internet." Now, there is something called Fairview and Blarney, and this is upstream technology. Upstream means you get inside the system before it's in the Internet, and it looks like they want to tap in to the fiber optic cables before and collect the data at that point. And this person, Drake, refers to as a highly classified program for tapping into the world's intercontinental fiber optic cables. And this is the highest level means to own the Internet. And what they will do, once the NSA receives the information as collected, it will transmit the data back to the agency to be analyzed by the data mining programs. So what they're saying is they won't need backdoors. They will have a way to get everyone's information without asking companies. And again, this is a surveillance state. This is against your Fourth Amendment right. And these government officials should be brought up on charges, because all of this information does not work. If it does, they'd be catching criminals. If it does, they would have caught every single terrorist that was out there. If it does, we would have really no crime, because they would know what is going on. But they're not using it for that. They are using it to keep tabs on people, to understand where the problems will be when the economic collapse hits. They are creating lists. They are putting people into groups. They are wanting to know who talks to who and what groups you belong to. If you belong to the NRA, if you belong to any type of militia, they want to know where everyone is, so when the time comes, it is much easier to collect those people, just like the Germans did in World War II. Now, South Korea is going and saying that North Korea is behind the cyber attacks, and they know this because from the IPs that they have collected, they're very similar to the other cyber attacks that they receive. But I said this before, using proxy servers, you can bounce cyber attacks off of many, many different servers, and the only IP address is the last server that you see. And let's just use an example. When the United States government used Stuxnet to completely hit Iran and damage the nuclear facility, do you think that they just came from the United States to create this cyber attack? No, they bounced it off many different servers, so it wouldn't look like it was coming from the U.S. The same thing is happening here, and this is more propaganda for the cyber attack main event, which will eventually be coming. Listen, everyone, I really appreciate everyone listening. Everyone, be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot for listening today.